Death and Dying. Let's talk about it in Season 2 of MC4P. I'm your host, Wren Ribeiro. Could these end-of-life conversations lead to a greater sense of joy, of peace?
For all eternity.
Tune in and find out. Mujéres Co-Labor for Peace. Sister Clare, how is your heart?
Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo.
My heart is full and tingly and smiley. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on Mujéres Co-Labor for Peace.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited to talk to you about your peace work in the world. Sister Clare Carter is a Buddhist monk in the order of, I can't say it.
Yeah, Nipponzan Myoho-ji.
Nipponzan Myoho-ji.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And we are going to talk today about some of the walks that you've led, organized, walked, some of the ceremonies that you hold and practices that you maintain and keep, and some of your prayers for society,
Mm-hmm.
for ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
for all of us, for the world.
Namu Myoho Renge Kyo.
We had just met to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've done and kind of how to frame that in the context of peaceful dying. And it's huge. There's so many wars happening in the world, so many challenges that affect the human soul, the spirit, mind, that keep us kind of clouded in a fog, I would say. It's it could be a combination of emotional struggles, physical struggles, health issues, and politics and history and heavy burdens that get passed on from one generation to another, religion, and just the clashes of culture, of narrative, of ways of being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if we can describe that as fog, I don't know. What do you think?
I thought you were really, calling it out in a helpful way. That's what I really thought. Because as we tend to try to move ahead in this fog or sort of heavy and dull confusion about things, it is helpful to call out, to call out, to name some of these things that are major burdens on folk today. And so it's a little less burdensome when you can call it out. I think it's helpful.
Oh, thank you.
I really felt that by naming and all that.
Yeah, that what I'd like to name first off is the place you reside, the Peace Pagoda. Naming, I don't know if there's something that you want to say about the name of the place that you live and the land that you live on.
I almost jumped into that when, I'm a Buddhist nun or monk. I almost launched into at the Peace Pagoda in Leverett since its inception. That's probably the fuller way I describe myself, but anyway, yes, the place, is in the land, in the earth. But the Peace Pagoda, I guess I'll just be brief. Actually, in terms of naming, it's interesting. We have been calling it the New England Peace Pagoda. However, our elder teacher is having to he wants to rethink that name into a more indigenous connected name.
And so here's an image of the pagoda. What is it like to live in such a beautiful place?
Well, the teachings that have inspired the building of the pagodas, our order has built over 80 pagodas after World War II.
Wow. Around the world.
But this is the first on Turtle Island, which is the indigenous name for North America. But through practice to manifest the Pure Land. And every place is the Pure Land. But pagodas or temples help to focalize that. A pagoda or stupa is an appearance of the universal enlightenment of the Buddha, which is really also within everyone. In this stream of practice, the Pure Land isn't about dying and going to the Pure Land. That's fine. That is one tradition in Buddhism, and that's very all reverence to that tradition. But it's meaning something different, the Buddha of the Western Heaven. But in this tradition, or this stream of practice, the Pure Land is where we are living. We don't realize it's the Pure Land yet. There's no quick wand, it's like all of a sudden. But by practice, slowly, the sense of the sacredness of, that's why we build pagodas, so that people can feel that sacredness in themselves. And then once we feel it, or even begin to feel it, we can start to feel it everywhere. In all other people. The human family has to heal, as a family, but also heal with this beautiful manifested natural world. And so the pagoda is all in ways that we can't track, intellectually. It's beyond the intellect. It's a great gift to be able to practice there, and it's kind of a heavy word to say duty, but it is a spiritual duty that we try to hold, to keep up the practice and to, it is for everyone. I always say it's everyone's Peace Pagoda. We only are there to practice, to steady the practice,
And so you invite the community in for ceremonies and for
all
events.
The time. Yeah. It's open every single day, rain or shine, all weather and all that, but sunrise to sunset. And yes, it is for everyone. All religions. It's not trying to convert people, but it exists in a universal expression for everyone.
Like the pagoda is kind of like the space, the healing, healthy, multicultural, multi-faith place of reverence. This Far by Faith is one of the things that you've been featured in on PBS. You've done so many prayers. You've engaged in prayer in so many ways throughout your life. How does one begin to unpack some of the dogmatism that is leading to, and it's hard to say this, but leading to real pain and suffering in the world?
I think as the world itself becomes more and more this kind of power issues, and the militarism is so, certainly right now, it's I don't think we can even comprehend the world we live in. It's so militarized, and the type of military weapons we have are so unthinkable. Nuclear, of course, but there's a lot of them that are, right behind the same mentality that creates nuclear weapons now we're creating all. really unthinkable, utterly unthinkable weapons. So, and it's not just this country, it's all. So this is the world we live in. So I think religion in general, whether it's Christianity or other religions, needs to detach all the religious traditions in order to help the human family find its way spiritually and prevail over all of this. It must be prevailed over, this militarism. Have to detach from interests of money and power and those things, and get back to the real roots of whatever tradition it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the more the various traditions do that, find their real source, then that's going to be what nourishes and nurtures and guides the humanity through this time into a beautiful future.
Yeah.
Because we're meant to live in peace, definitely.
Yeah.
We are part of the peace. We were talking earlier that a lot of the ancient ways of the First Nations, and we don't really know about this, I'm not indigenous, but the old ways are ways of profound peace and profound the nobility of and the sacredness of life and all of this. Those were kept, for thousands of years. I'm not idealizing artificially, but it's true.
Right.
These things are true.
Right.
And that's why this country seems so beautiful to the Europeans, is because all that energy
Yes.
was kept, as one, the people and the earth. And they thought, oh, this is all for us. But anyway, all I'm saying is that our times, we have to be free to go deep into the spiritual teachings and be guided, whether it's one religion or another, or one spiritual way or another. They're all good, and they all are here to help humanity prevail over the really deadly energies.
The fog
that we've kind of gotten ourselves into as a human family.
Wow. We talked a little bit also about the event that you have coming up soon, Oban, and I mentioned it in an episode that I've just recorded on this season 2 Peaceful Dying. Peaceful dying. Like, there's so much to say about that, because yes, there's celebrations that are helping people to somehow remember those ancient traditions, because every one of us is indigenous somewhere, to some land, to some practice, to some way of being, however many generations we have to go back. And reclaiming, cultivating, practicing, being in ritual and ceremony around those practices is what is done all the time at the Peace Pagoda. What you do, what you bring, the prayers and offerings.
Obon is, I believe, some version of it is practiced in all the Buddhist cultures of Asia. In the old days, which wasn't that long ago, villages would come together and make a fire to invite the spirits of their ancestors, their collective ancestors. It's like you light a fire so the spirits can find where their descendants are.
Can find you.
It's light, So, so they come. They believe the spirits definitely come, and then they have monks, and together with monks and lay people and everything, everyone offers prayers and food, and really, it's also a very it's a very happy time. It is not morose.
It's a festival, a celebration.
It's very more like that, And because people feel so happy to be reconnected and can show their love for their ancestors, parents, grandparents, great, and all just the stream of ancestors, which is long. And So, and then it's usually a 3-day festival or a 3-day, I think you would call it a festival. And then they reverently send the spirits back, and they light, well, in the case of the pagoda, we put lanterns on the front of the temple, open the doors of the temple, and put lanterns with candles, and sort of to light the way back.
Beautiful.
After praying, everyone writes their names of their ancestors that they at least know on prayer cards and puts them all on the altar, and there's a collective offering of water and food and prayers, and everybody offers incense, and you're praying for your own ancestors at the same time as everyone else's. I like that very much personally.
I love that. It sounds so accessible. Like
It's
I can think
simple.
of dozens of ancestors and just writing them on a note card, lighting a candle even, and inviting other family members.
You can do that.
To come and,
Of course.
it doesn't have to be Oban. It can be any day. It could be a
Absolutely.
birthday, anniversary, some kind of day that feels meaningful and that just feels really, really accessible for so many people who I think are kind of flailing around in their spirituality. Like, I don't know where to begin. Well, as Thich Nhat Hanh has said, peace is every step, right?
Yes.
Just every step, breathe in the peace, be the peace, and feel the peace in your body, in your mind, and from that space, connect, invite.
That's great. That's
And
wonderful.
one thing that you had said is that it's really important not just to invite the ancestors, but to also send them back. So
Absolutely.
the real beauty of that I can see the stairs lit with lanterns, and showing them how to get back.
Yes.
Feels really gorgeous, like the
Yes.
bookend of a very special gathering
Yes.
with ancestors,
Yes.
family. I love that. I love that practice, and I love how accessible that is. What do you think about that disconnection? Like we say goodbye to ancestors in a ceremony, and then we're still flailing around. Why is that?
I think one thing folks can do is if they can try to research their ancestry, just to write the names down and lovingly, they probably don't have pictures of too many, but the names are very important. That still carries their spirit, and make, at least offering of water each day and maybe fresh food or and prayer. And I think that makes a huge difference. It doesn't mean you have to go back to European countries. Of course, if you do, that's fine to do that too. But I think the name and the
offering
and the
water
offerings
and
is
food.
really the essence of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think a
think
lot
so.
of cultures do have that first bite of the meal,
Yes.
offered
Yeah.
to the ancestors. Maybe put a little space on your
Yes.
plate for that, or a special bowl on your table for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a whole plate. And what do you do with the food? It just could be a bite. Some people do a whole plate. I've seen that. And I've tried that, and then I get worried about wasting food, so I do the bite. It feels a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, on a kind of large scale, I think in our conversation, someone had given us the speech, I think you can find it online, of Chief Seattle. He was forced to sell his land, forced. But he gave quite an address to the President of the United States at that time. And it's very wrenching to read, and there's so much wisdom and so much in there. But anyway, one of the things he says was that to the native people's eye, they see the Europeans coming here, and their ancestors, at least at that time, so many were, buried in Europe, and the people aren't going back to care and show their love and pray, just disconnect. And he really raises that, and it feels very cold to him. We need a warm heart to our ancestors, and not it's all over, goodbye.
Yeah, transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and so that's in there. So I just share that. It's worth reading Chief Seattle's speech for many reasons, but that's one of them.
Then here, this is a while ago, you were doing you were on this panel, Peace and Hope. I really love what you said here. Sometimes it takes things to be unsettled to feel a real opening for hope. And you were talking about how in the Buddhist practice, goodness is within everyone, but an effort needs to be made to cultivate that effort and cultivating our true nature.
Yes. Yeah, it's very simple and very true.
Yes, yes. And doing all of this Hope and Moving Forward Symposium, that was what it was called.
Oh.
Sister Clare, wow, your work over these past 4 decades has done so much healing. And that tipping point of interracial, interfaith healing on some of the world's, society's most deepest pain is really beyond words. The world owes you a debt of gratitude, you and the communities you've built. And to take that legacy forward through our feet, through our offerings, and through our remembering and community building efforts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a guest on Mujeres. You are Mujéres Co-Laboring for Peace in this episode of Peaceful Dying, because we can't die peacefully if we can't live peacefully. And unless we have ancestors who are, or descendants who are calling us and doing that work for us, which we hope always happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been really wonderful experience to be with you, Wren, and thank you for your work and the building community you're doing through this medium.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. I have received so much from you.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mujeres Co-Labor for Peace.